Hey everybody. I asked a question on a Facebook group, the CAN bus device development. It looks like there's a lot of interest in this, and I know Mitch and I have been talking about CAN stuff for kind of over a year, and he pretty much taught me everything I knew, and then we kind of both do our own thing. And there hasn't been very good topics on just basic how to decode stuff. This one guy, Pablo, asked a question on how to decode basic CAN messages, so I thought I'd show you how to do that and hopefully make it a little bit less confusing. Um, so what I have on my screen is pretty much a text document that explains how I have stuff set up. So I have pretty much to the right of me a Linux laptop. There's a USB CAN device plugged into it. There's some wires. And then there's another USB CAN device plugged into my Windows machine that I'm recording this video on. And that's connected up to this PCAN USB view. And then this is just effectively an SSH client putty into my laptop where I can show you how to kind of play this stuff. You can just pretend that this window here is effectively a car that's running, right? And you want to figure out what I'm going to be demonstrating is how to decode RPM. But before I get to that, I'll show you the devices that I have plugged in. So this first thing is it's a Cannibal. This is the device that's plugged into my Windows machine. And then this device here is from AliExpress. It's another CAN device that I think is just a clone. Not very expensive, but you guys can Google that. So I'll close that. And then I have the Haltech dash specification document open, which I'll show here in a second, and show you how to decode, well, how to make sense of decoding a CAN message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play this log. So what this is I last year, at the beginning of January, I went to a local car place and asked one of the guys if I could plug my laptop into it and record some CAN messages. And he has a Haltech Elite 1500 ECU, which is the same ECU that I have for my car. And I really wanted to get some CAN logs so I can kind of test if my stuff works at home. So what I'm going to be doing is I pre-recorded this last year, and I'm going to go ahead and play it back real time as if my desktop at home that I'm recording this on is basically plugged into this guy's car, right? So if I play it, there's a whole bunch of crap that shows up on the screen, and these are all the CAN events that are coming in at ridiculously fast speed. And if you will keep this going in the screen, I'm going to pull over the Haltech dash CAN specification document, which I appreciate so much the folks at Haltech being able to send me this. But we're going to be looking at RPM. And this one's a simple one because the value that's decoded equals the RPM. So this is the arbitration ID. This is the rate at which the Haltech device sends data out, which is 50 hertz or 20 times every second. And then these are the message positions. So a CAN message gets sent out as a byte, and there'll be potentially 1 byte or up to 8 bytes. And this is byte, effectively 0, and then 1, and then 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And what this is telling you, or what this is telling me, is that RPM needs both bytes to display the values. So I believe on the Haltech ECU, the RPM that gets sent out is, I think the maximum RPM that it can send out is, I think, 16,000 RPM or something. But with that said, it's message position 0 and 1, and that is the RPM. So I'm going to put this window off to the side, and that's this message right here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my playback on this device here. Cancel that, so everything's going to be stopped. So just pretend like the car's off. And this is the byte data that we have. So byte 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So RPM data is bytes 0 and 1, and it's 046F. So with that said, looks like I actually closed my window by accident. Oh, no, here it goes. So here's what we'll do is this website, the hexadecimal to decimal converter, make it easy on everybody. This is 046F. So I'm going to type in 046F and I'm going to hit convert. So at that point, the RPM is 1,135. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Going back to the Haltech documentation that I have, I'll bring this over onto the side. And in basically arbitration ID 0360, it's sending 046F, which is the RPM, and then the manifold pressure is 013E, and then the throttle position, this one's kind of an interesting one because see how it says value equals basically the value divided by 10, and just for fun, let's go ahead and decode that. So the throttle position is 0005, and I already know that that's going to be very low. I'm pretty sure that the throttle, he basically blipped the throttle. But if I play this again, let's go ahead and just look at this for a couple seconds. So the throttle position is, on this screen, it's bytes 4 and 5, which is right, let me make sure we can see this stuff here. Bytes, let's see, throttle position is bytes 4 and 5. So I know when I got into this guy's car and we were running it around, I was sitting in it and we were idling for a little bit. So it might take a couple seconds before he gets in his car. So see how that byte's changing now? So he pretty much blipped the throttle just a second, but I remember it took probably 2 minutes of the log running before we actually got in the car and we started driving around out of the parking lot. So you can see right here how it's changing rapidly. And that's because they're pretty much coming out at very fast speeds here. So let's just, I'm going to go ahead and stop it when we see a number that's a little bit higher that involves this byte. And what this is on pretty much the byte format. This is most significant byte, least significant byte, meaning that this is the larger portion of the number and this is the smaller portion of the number. And you could Google what MSB and LSB are. It's kind of beyond the scope of this, but just know that the data that is being sent out, they're using effectively 2 bytes to send that data out. And I'm going to let this run for a little bit longer, and then we can just, I can kill it when he's actually driving here. Might take a couple seconds. Okay, let me just disconnect this and stop it. Okay, so we have a byte here. It's 8B. So what I'm going to do is go to my calculator that I have in this other window. It's 8B. So you could put in, if you want to, you can put in 008B, and you can convert that. So the throttle, it says that it's 139, but that's not the right throttle position. The throttle position is y equals x divided by 10. So we take 139 and we divide it by 10, and I already know that that's 13.9. So this is telling us that the throttle position is 13.9%, and that's how you get that. Looking in the rest of the Haltech documentation, going a little deeper, because Haltech is an Australian company and they use the metric system, and we're in the United States, or I'm in the United States, you have to do a little bit of conversion to get kilopascals converted to PSI or millibar or whatever your preferred unit of measure is. But this is a little bit more advanced where you have to take the number, divide it by 10, and then subtract 1 and 1.3, and that's how you get kilopascals. And then there's, pretty much going down the list here, you have, wideband sensor. Now, if you guys are just hacking around on a car trying to figure out what CAN messages do what, it's going to be a lot more confusing because pretty much you're going to be looking at a boatload of data all the time, and you're going to be like, I don't know what anything is, right? There are tools that you can find that are beyond the scope of my, yammering here, that will explain how to search for things. But like a lot of these, there's no data being sent. This is all zeros, meaning that either this person's firmware was old and didn't have the right updates, or he didn't have these sensors plugged in, or insert any numerous amount of things. But looking at this data, it's very overwhelming. So I think, that's, there's, if you guys have questions on this, feel free to, ask me. I'll post this in the CAN bus device development for everybody to kind of ingest, and then, ask questions and pretty much go from there. But this is going to be this is one of my first videos kind of explaining this stuff, and I hope you guys found it interesting. If not, leave a comment. If you didn't find it interesting, then, throw something at me. Anyway, hope you guys have a nice day. I will catch up with you later.